What if the pain you fear the most is actually the key to your greatest strength? Think about it. Every hardship, every heartbreak, every failure. What if these weren't signs that you're losing, but proof that you're growing? What if the very thing that makes you want to quit is actually the thing that will make you unstoppable? The Stoics believed that pain isn't something to run from. It's something to harness. It's not an enemy, but an ally. Pain is the fire that refines us, the pressure that turns coal into diamonds. It's the ultimate test, revealing who we really are when everything is stripped away. Imagine a life where you no longer fear pain, where every setback fuels you rather than defeats you, where rejection doesn't break you but builds resilience, where failure isn't a dead end, but a doorway to something greater. History is filled with those who transformed suffering into strength, the warriors who turned wounds into wisdom, the visionaries who let adversity shape their legacy, the survivors who refused to let pain define them, instead using it to fuel their greatest triumphs. So ask yourself, what would you be capable of if you saw pain not as a barrier but as a stepping stone? In this video, I'm going to show you how to turn suffering into power, struggles into wisdom, and pain into an unstoppable force for growth. Because once you stop fearing pain, nothing can break you. Pain, most people fear it, avoid it, and even resent it. We see it as something unfair, something that shouldn't be happening to us. But what if I told you that pain isn't your enemy? It's your greatest teacher? Think about it. Every person who has achieved greatness, every warrior who has fought against the odds, every philosopher who has unlocked deep wisdom, none of them did so by avoiding pain. They faced it, embraced it, and learned to use it as fuel. The Stoics understood this deeply. They believed that pain isn't something to escape but a tool, a forge in which we are shaped into the best version of ourselves. They saw suffering not as a curse but as a challenge, not as something to be feared but something to be mastered. Seneca once said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." But let's be real. When we're in pain, it doesn't feel like an opportunity. It feels overwhelming. It feels personal. It feels like a weight pressing down on us, keeping us stuck. And because of that, we resist it. We run from it. We try to numb it, distract ourselves, or pretend it's not there. Yet history shows us a different reality. The strongest individuals weren't those who avoided suffering, but those who faced it head-on. The ones who transformed their pain into resilience, their struggles into wisdom, and their obstacles into stepping stones. So in this video, we're going to explore how pain can become your greatest source of strength. How suffering, if used correctly, can sharpen your mind, build an unshakable will, and turn adversity into advantage. Because the truth is, pain isn't what breaks you, it's what makes you. But before we go any further, let's take a step back and ask, why does pain feel like such an overwhelming barrier in the first place? Why does it seem so impossible to embrace in the moment? And how can shifting our mindset change everything? Pain is something we all face. There's no escaping it. Whether it's physical pain from illness or injury, emotional pain from heartbreak or rejection, or mental pain from stress, anxiety, and self-doubt, it can feel like an insurmountable wall standing between us and the life we want. And the worst part? Pain isn't just about the moment of suffering itself. It lingers. It leaves scars, not only on our bodies but on our minds. It changes the way we see the world, and even more importantly, the way we see ourselves. Think about it. How often do we let pain control us? A breakup makes us afraid to love again. Failure makes us afraid to try again. Loss makes us afraid to move forward. Rejection makes us afraid to put ourselves out there. A painful memory keeps us trapped in the past, making us hesitant about the future. We don't just experience pain, we carry it. We build walls around ourselves, convincing ourselves that if we just avoid situations that might cause suffering, we'll be safe. We tell ourselves, if I don't take risks, I won't fail. If I don't open my heart, I won't get hurt. If I don't chase my dreams, I won't be disappointed. But here's the hard truth. Avoiding pain doesn't free us from suffering. It chains us to it. I remember a time when failure nearly stopped me in my tracks. After pouring months of effort into a project, only to see it collapse before my eyes. I was devastated. It felt like all my hard work had been for nothing. That sinking feeling in my chest, that overwhelming sense of disappointment, it made me question everything. Was I even good enough? Was I wasting my time? Should I just quit? In that moment, pain wasn't just something I felt. It was something that was shaping my reality. My mind wanted to run from it, to bury it, to convince myself that trying again wasn't worth the risk. And I almost listened. But then something changed. Instead of rejecting the pain, I sat with it. I asked myself, what is this pain trying to teach me? And I realized something powerful. Failure wasn't the end. It wasn't a verdict on my worth. It was a lesson. That pain forced me to reflect, to improve, and to come back stronger. And when I did, I was no longer the same person. I was sharper, tougher, and more prepared for the next challenge. But most of us don't see pain this way. We see it as a weight, something that slows us down, weakens us, and sometimes even makes us want to give up. We see it as an obstacle, something unfair, something that shouldn't be happening to us. And when we resist it, when we fight against it, we suffer even more. Have you ever noticed how pain intensifies when you resist it? When you dwell on the unfairness of it? When you replay the past in your mind, wishing things had turned out differently? That resistance is what turns pain into suffering. But here's the question. What if we're looking at pain the wrong way? What if pain isn't the enemy? What if, instead of seeing pain as a force that holds us back, we viewed it as the very thing that can propel us forward? This is exactly what the Stoics understood, and this is where things get interesting. History is filled with people who transformed their deepest pain into their greatest strength. These individuals didn't just endure suffering, they harnessed it. They turned their struggles into stepping stones, their failures into fuel, and their hardships into the foundation of something greater. Pain, in its rawest form, is energy. And what separates those who are broken by it from those who are strengthened by it is perspective. The following stories prove that pain doesn't have to be a dead end. It can be a launching pad. The first story is about Viktor Frankl, finding meaning in suffering. Few people have endured suffering as deep as Viktor Frankl. As a prisoner in Nazi concentration camps, he lost everything: his family, his freedom, his dignity. Stripped of all external comforts, he was forced to confront the purest form of human suffering. But in the depths of unimaginable torment, Frankl discovered something extraordinary. Pain itself can create purpose. He noticed that those who survived the camps weren't necessarily the strongest physically, but those who found meaning in their suffering. Those who had a why, a reason to endure, were the ones who held on, even when their bodies were failing them. From this revelation, Frankl developed logotherapy, a groundbreaking psychological approach that helps people find purpose in adversity. He later wrote Man's Search for Meaning, a book that continues to inspire millions. Frankl's story proves that even in the darkest times when everything seems hopeless, we still have one undeniable power: the ability to choose our mindset. He famously wrote, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." Pain doesn't define us. Our response to it does. But Frankl wasn't alone. Others, too, have turned their suffering into something extraordinary. The second story is about David Goggins, rewiring the mind through pain. If you've ever doubted yourself, avoided discomfort, or felt like life was too hard, David Goggins' story will change the way you see pain. Goggins wasn't born a Navy SEAL, an ultramarathon runner, or one of the toughest endurance athletes in the world. In fact, he started in a very different place: overweight, depressed, and stuck in a cycle of excuses. At nearly 300 pounds, with a failing mindset and a life filled with struggle, he could have easily given up. But instead of accepting his pain, both physical and emotional, as a life sentence, he made a radical choice. He would turn suffering into a tool for transformation. His method? Callousing the mind. He trained himself to embrace discomfort, to lean into suffering rather than run from it. He forced himself to do what felt impossible, grueling workouts, brutal challenges, and mental battles that most people would avoid. Through this, he rewired his mind to see pain not as an enemy, but as a training ground for discipline, resilience, and self-mastery. Goggins's philosophy is simple but powerful. The more you push through pain, the stronger you become. The mind is the real battlefield. Win there, and you win in life. Comfort is the enemy of growth. Pain is where transformation happens. I've had my own moments of mental battles, where self-doubt tried to hold me back. But looking at someone like Goggins showed me that pain can be a training ground for discipline. I started pushing myself out of my comfort zone, leaning into challenges instead of avoiding them. And the results? Life-changing. Pain is proof that you're pushing beyond limits. Pain is a signal that you're stepping into the next level of yourself. The third story is about Malala Yousafzai, turning trauma into activism. Some pain comes from within, self-doubt, fear, failure. But some pain is inflicted upon us by others through cruelty, injustice, and oppression. Malala Yousafzai's story is one of unimaginable suffering, but also one of profound courage. At just 15 years old, she was shot by the Taliban simply for advocating girls' education. A bullet meant to silence her instead amplified her voice across the world. She could have let fear consume her. She could have retreated into the shadows, too afraid to ever speak out again. But instead, she made a choice. She would not let pain define her story. Instead of hiding, she became a global advocate for education. Instead of letting suffering break her, she used it as fuel for activism. She turned her trauma into a movement, becoming the youngest ever Nobel Prize laureate. Malala's story is proof that pain, when faced with courage and purpose, can lead to something far greater than the suffering itself. She reminds us that even in our most powerless moments, we still have the power to choose how we respond. What these stories teach us about pain: Viktor Frankl, David Goggins, Malala Yousafzai, three vastly different people from different times and backgrounds, yet bound by a common truth. Pain is not the end of the story. Pain can teach us meaning. Pain can build unbreakable discipline. Pain can fuel purpose and change the world. But here's the real question: how can you take these lessons and apply them to your own life? What if you stopped seeing pain as something to fear and started seeing it as something to use? Because once you stop fearing pain, nothing can break you. Pain is a universal experience, but how we respond to it defines our future. The individuals we've discussed, Viktor Frankl, David Goggins, Malala Yousafzai, didn't just suffer. They actively worked to reframe their pain. They didn't wait for suffering to pass. They didn't let it define them. Instead, they made a conscious decision to use their pain as a tool for transformation. So how can you do the same? How can you turn your struggles into fuel for resilience, wisdom, and growth? Here are 3 powerful methods that can help you stop running from pain and start using it. The first is mindfulness, observing pain without resistance. One of the biggest reasons pain feels overwhelming is because we resist it. We fight it. We tell ourselves it shouldn't be happening, that life isn't fair, that we don't deserve this kind of suffering. But resistance creates suffering. The Stoics believed that suffering isn't caused by pain itself, but by our reaction to it. Pain is inevitable, but suffering? That's a choice. Mindfulness teaches us to observe pain without resistance. Instead of trying to push pain away, mindfulness encourages you to sit with it, acknowledge it, and detach from its control over you. It allows you to separate what is happening from how you feel about it. Think of it like this. Imagine you're holding a burning hot coal in your hand. Your instinct is to squeeze it, to resist it, to let the pain consume you. But mindfulness teaches you to simply observe it, to recognize that yes, this is painful, but you don't have to react impulsively. How to practice this? Meditation. Take 5 to 10 minutes a day to sit in silence and observe your thoughts. Instead of reacting to emotions, just notice them. Breathwork. When pain arises, focus on slow, deep breaths. This calms your nervous system and reduces emotional reactivity. Journaling. Writing down your thoughts can help you detach from them, allowing you to see pain as an experience rather than an identity. Pain loses its power when we stop fighting it and start observing it. But while mindfulness helps us detach, we also need to process pain at a deeper level. That's where the next method comes in. The second one is therapy and self-reflection. Understanding the lesson in pain. Pain is not random. It often has a message. It's trying to teach us something. But we can't learn the lesson if we're too busy avoiding the pain. Think about the moments in your life that hurt the most. A breakup, a failure, a betrayal. Now ask yourself, what did I learn from that experience? Pain is a powerful teacher. It shows us our weaknesses, our blind spots, and the parts of ourselves that need growth, but only if we take the time to listen. 2 powerful ways to do this. 1. Professional therapy. Therapy isn't just for people who are struggling. It's for anyone who wants to understand themselves better. A therapist can help you process deep emotions, recognize patterns, and reframe painful experiences into valuable lessons. 2. Deep self-reflection. If therapy isn't an option, you can still reflect on your experiences in powerful ways. Ask yourself questions. What is this pain trying to teach me? What patterns do I keep repeating? How can I grow from this? Write a letter to your pain. Describe what it feels like. Acknowledge its presence. Then, thank it for the lessons it's teaching you. Pain only controls us when we refuse to understand it. But when we embrace it, we can transform it into wisdom. Still, there's one more crucial element in turning pain into strength. You don't have to do it alone. The third one is community support, finding strength in others. No one overcomes pain alone. Even the strongest individuals, Marcus Aurelius, Viktor Frankl, David Goggins, relied on others. Whether through friendships, mentors, or communities, they surrounded themselves with people who challenged them and uplifted them. Why is this important? Because when we're in pain, our instinct is often to isolate. We tell ourselves that no one understands, that we need to face this alone. But isolation magnifies suffering. Humans are wired for connection. We heal faster, grow stronger, and overcome more when we have people by our side. Even the Stoics valued community. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, constantly wrote about the importance of learning from others. He understood that wisdom isn't developed in isolation, but in conversation, shared struggle, and support. How to build a strong support system. Find a mentor, someone who has already gone through what you're facing. Join a support group. Whether it's in person or online, being around like-minded people makes a difference. Have honest conversations. Open up to the people you trust. Let them be there for you. Pain can make you feel alone, but you're not alone. There are others who have walked this path, who have felt what you feel, who have overcome what you're going through. When you surround yourself with the right people, pain becomes a bridge, not a barrier. The bottom line: pain is power. Pain is a part of life, but how we respond to it determines everything. Resist pain, and it will consume you. Observe pain, and it will lose its grip on you. Learn from pain, and it will make you wiser. Share pain with others, and it will make you stronger. Viktor Frankl found meaning in suffering. David Goggins turned pain into unbreakable discipline. Malala Yousafzai transformed trauma into global activism. And you? You have the same ability. The question isn't whether you will face pain. The question is, what will you do with it? Because once you stop fearing pain, nothing can break you. Pain is a mirror. It reflects who you truly are. It strips away the illusions, the distractions, the comfort zones, and shows you exactly what you're made of. When you stop running from it, when you stop numbing it, When you finally face it with courage, something incredible happens. You grow. Most people avoid pain because they believe it's a sign of weakness. But the truth is, pain is one of the greatest forces for transformation. It's not something that breaks you, it's something that builds you. Think about the hardest moments of your life. The moments that tested you, stretched you, made you question everything. At the time, they felt unbearable. But looking back, aren't those the moments that shaped you the most? Pain forces you to evolve. It demands that you rise. It calls you to become stronger, wiser, more resilient than you ever thought possible. How to use pain as power. So the next time you face pain, don't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Instead ask, "What is this trying to teach me? How can I use this pain to grow? What part of me needs to evolve because of this experience?" Because pain always carries a lesson. It's up to you to find it. Pain is a choice. You can choose to let pain defeat you, or you can choose to let pain ignite you. The gym hurts, but it makes your body stronger. Studying for hours is exhausting, but it makes your mind sharper. Facing rejection is painful, but it builds unshakable confidence. Going through heartbreak is devastating, but it teaches you self-worth. Experiencing failure is humiliating, but it forces you to improve. Pain is the price of greatness. Everything worth having requires it. No one has ever built something meaningful without struggle. No one has ever become their best self by avoiding hardship. And no one has ever found true strength without first facing true pain. Your story matters. I want to hear from you. What's a painful experience that made you stronger? What lesson did you take from it? Drop your story in the comments, because your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. We're all on this journey together, and if this message resonated with you, let's keep this conversation going. Like this video if it helped shift your perspective. Subscribe if you want more insights on stoicism, resilience, and personal growth. Share this with someone who needs to hear it today, because pain doesn't make you weak. Pain makes you unstoppable.